It is Sunday, June 4th, and as always, we've got Doug back in the house to give us a play-by-play of the MLB. It's been a couple of weeks, partly my fault. I've been a little lazy and on vacation and have had other things going on, like battling my pool. I think Doug is pretty familiar with all my complications. I think he suffers from the same ailments that I do over there.
We have the same problem, but ours just stays dirty all the time. That's the reason why he calls it the Green Monster.
Well, I'll tell you what. I will make an offer to your HOA to go and get the pool cleaned up for you. At least give them some consulting tips. I won't do the cleaning, but at least I'll tell them what to do. I will say though that it does pay to have a pool store. You have no idea how many hundreds of dollars I've spent at Leslie's Pools, and they're ready to sell you just about every chemical.
Yeah, just about everything. Wait till they start selling you some napalm and you go out in the pool and you light a lighter and the pool blows up, huh?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you saw my video from yesterday. I had a roly-poly
I saw that.
invasion. I have no idea
Now,
why they commit suicide by getting in the pool, but every couple of days I've got to vacuum stuff up, and I've kind of read about them. I can't remember what their uh, what is it, genus term is, but basically these little critters exist on the planet to eat up all the nitrogen in the soil, so they serve a purpose. It's kind of like
unbelievable.
roaches. You know. Anyway, Doug, what's
Uh,
new in the MLB? What's going on with your Redbirds?
oh, my Redbirds, oh, we're in bad shape. We're in really bad shape. Our pitching, not so great.
Yeah.
Um, um, Flattery and Nicholas is pitching okay. They brought up a kid up from Memphis named Libator, and he's pitched okay too. But we had this big guy named Matz that missed most of the season last year with an injury, and they should have just left him hurt because he started and he lost like 8 games in a row, and now that he's in a bullpen. I watched a little bit last night when he pitched, and they had him out of there by the first batter. So
Wow.
oh, it's pathetic, and um, they brought up in order to give some kind of a spark plug to the team. They brought up all kinds of players from our AAA minor league team in Memphis. They brought up this kid named Luke Luke Luken Baker. He's
Mm-hmm.
get this guy. He's 26 years old, 6'4", 280 pounds. Okay, and he can hit. This kid can hit. He's hit like 20 homers down in Memphis, and the league down there is doing like 50 runs already. So they brought him up overnight. They played him today, and the first time he got up, he got a double. But he
Wow.
can hit, and yeah, we got a Gold Glove second baseman playing the center field for us now. Okay, and we've got a Gold Glove shortstop, I mean third baseman playing shortstop for us. Um, it just seems like every time the Cardinals try to do and try to win some games, it's a wrong move. So, the season's still not over with, but I would say it's about time to fire the manager.
Yeah.
I don't something's going on in that clubhouse that we don't know about,
Was this the
and I
the
think
the 35-year-old manager?
yeah, yeah. But I think my this is my rumor or my theory is that I think Yadier Molina and Albert ran that clubhouse last year.
Yeah.
And I think the players did what they told the players what to do, and that's what the players did, and they helped the players and all that stuff. And whenever they need some counseling or some mentoring, they went to Albert and Yachty.
Yeah.
Pitchers and catchers probably went to Yachty, and the hitters went over to Albert. And Marmol, earlier this year there was a situation where Ryan O'Neal got blamed for not hustling around the plate, around the
Yeah.
base. And this guy's like the second fastest guy in all of Major League Baseball. And they threw him out at home. Well, the manager called him out. And then instead of talking to, the rumor is that instead of him talking to O'Neill directly behind closed doors, he went directly to the press, the manager did.
Oh
And that
gosh.
created all kinds of just bad stuff. Okay. You never
Wow.
do that
Yeah.
in business, even in business. Okay.
Right.
And then we got this new catcher to replace Yachty, and he's a good one, all-star catcher. And they paid him $85 million for like 5 years, and he's going to be fine. And I noticed that he had a hard time catching left-handers, Cardinals left-handers.
Yeah.
And then they decided, the Cardinal management, the Rangers, they said, okay, we're going to sit him down, and we're going to put down, instead of putting in a 280 hitter, we're going to put a 210 hitter as the catcher, and we're going to set Contreras on the bench, and he's going to be a designated hitter or occasional outfielder. Well, that was a stupid move. That was a stupid move anyway. Okay,
Right.
and that went backfire. Now he's catching again and all that. And we've had some injuries. Like Newt Barr, the center fielder, somehow he made a great catch and he got back spasm, so he's on the DL. Ryan O'Neill, the old saying is that, oh my back, oh my neck, send me the check.
Wow.
He's always on the DL, always. And this guy is like Arnold Schwarzenegger. This guy's big, muscular guy. Okay, probably the strongest guy in the MLB, and he's constantly getting hurt.
Wow.
And then
Well,
our
how
right
old is he?
fielder,
How old is he?
he's about 28 years old.
Well, he's still a young buck. He should be able to handle it.
Well, Whitey Herzog always said, he says, great manager for the Cardinals, a white rat, right? He said, these players today, they got too muscles in them to be baseball players. Okay, they're too lean. They need a little fat on them
Yeah.
to absorb some of that stuff. So it seems like the injuries have been going up and up. And then our right fielder, Dylan Carlson, he got his cleat stuck in the fence out in Fenway Park the other day, so he's on the DL. And so it's just, and then Wainwright, of all things, he started the season lifting weights. He pulled a groin muscle lifting weights.
Oh my
Now, why would
gosh.
a 42-year-old pitcher lift weights?
Well, especially
Like, is he
leg
going to,
weights,
yeah, huh?
especially leg weights.
Yeah, I mean, what is he doing, And he was on the thing for like a month. So I think it's time to change managers. I'd like to see them bring Schultz back. They probably won't, but I think they need to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
this
can see.
a couple of weeks ago, about a week ago, it looked like we were going to come back. We started winning some games, and we started hitting, and everything kind of fell in place. But then this recent road trip, okay, well, we lost a bunch of games in St. Louis. Then we went over to Pittsburgh this weekend. We lost all 3 games in Pittsburgh.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. And it's just, I don't know. We're trying to fill holes with minor leaguers,
Yeah.
and those kids have potential, but I don't know, it's getting it done. Maybe, sometimes well, they don't want to pay the salary. That's the thing. If they
Right.
go out and get a seasoned veteran, okay, they're not, they want too much money,
Right. Right.
especially
Right.
pitching, especially
Yeah.
pitching. So we'll
Definitely.
bring up a kid, from Memphis, pay him the minimum salary,
Yeah.
and that's how we'll do it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you can only wing it so far. You and I are experts. We're the old veterans that got casted out for some young bucks.
cheaper bucks.
Cheaper bucks. All righty, Doug.
That's what it came down to, cheaper bucks.
Well, let's
But
go over.
that's an old story. But you want to talk about other baseball?
Yeah. Well, let's
You
flip
know,
over to your scorecard here. Give me a second. There we go.
okay.
And we've got the standings here. So let's go through those. The American League East, you've got Tampa Bay, 42 wins and 19 losses. What do you think about Tampa Bay there?
Great team. appears to be a great organization too. That's the organization that the general manager happens to be a woman.
Oh, really?
Okay, she's first. She's an Asian American. She's been in baseball for like 20 years. Started at the bottom as an intern. She worked for the Yankees. She worked for San Francisco, and she worked a couple other organizations. Just each stair step, you know,
Yeah.
in her career, and then finally Tampa Bay. They hired her last year, the year before, and her last name is Inga. Okay, and she seems to really know what she's doing.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's had some success with Tampa Bay. They're again not a large payroll. Tampa Bay does not have a large payroll, so she makes do what she's got,
Yeah.
and so
Wow. Well,
so
then you've
she's doing a good job, and the team's been there's a lot of actually Cardinal castoffs there. There's an outfielder named Randy Arozarena
yeah.
that is one of the best ball players in baseball. The Cardinals, traded him away for a player about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and this guy went just nuts working playing from Tampa. They got good pitching. Probably their pitcher won Cy Young last year, so a good team.
Yeah.
And it looks like a good organization.
And then you've got Baltimore right behind them, 36 wins and 22 losses.
James Crosland's team.
Yeah.
Um, they're they're going back to the glory days of Cal Ripkins and the Ripkins. They were on the bottom for a long, long time, and now they're working their way up. They've had the last 2 years have been very good. I think they even made the playoffs last year
Yeah.
as a wild card.
And in
So
third place, we've got the
yeah
Yankees, 35 to 25.
yeah the Yankees are they were off to a slow start, and Aaron Judge was on the DL there for a while, but he's back, and he's hitting home runs. And last night I heard he ran through a fence out in Dodger Stadium somewhere, and big guy, he's like 6'8",
Yeah.
250 or something like that. He's huge, King Kong.
Yeah. And the Blue
So they're coming back.
Jays, the Blue Jays are 33 to 27.
Yeah, Toronto's got a good team. We played them this year a couple times, and they dominated against the Cardinals. And good organization. They spent a lot of money in the off season,
Yeah.
so they'll be in there.
Yeah. And then you've got Boston at the end of that league, 30 to
Yeah,
29.
Boston fairly barely hitting 500, not barely playing 500 ball.
Right.
Um, a lot of their major stars, um, they lost to free agency, and so they're trying to make do with what they got. And the embarrassment, they lost their shortstop. He went to San Diego,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like the cornerstone of the team. And they lost him to free agency, and now they're trying to recover from that. They're going to be down for quite some time, I think.
Yeah, and I see that they're going to be playing Tampa Bay here tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay will be all over them.
Yeah. Well, the
Yeah,
AL Central, your daughter's team, the Minnesota Twins, they're 31 to 29.
yeah. The snow finally thawed up, and the snow finally melted in Minnesota, and now they're playing baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And a good team. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, they're a good team. So they were up there last year, pretty good, last couple years. So
Yeah.
I look for them to be at the top of the division most of the year.
And you've got Cleveland. Cleveland is second in that division, 27 to 32.
Yeah, I think Cleveland played the Cardinals last week in Cleveland. Was that Cleveland? I think so. Just dominated all over the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So, you know, good team.
Yeah.
They're going to be in it.
Now, I will say that Minnesota is scheduled to play Tampa Bay on Tuesday.
Okay. That'd
Yeah.
be a good game.
Yeah. And then you've got Detroit. Detroit is third, 26 wins and actually 26 wins and 31 losses. I'm not sure if that's something to be proud of, but they're still third though.
Yeah, they're. Hey, Danny, is your screen changing? I'm still on the first
Oh,
group.
oh, I'm sorry. I didn't swipe
Yeah,
further up. Sorry about that.
yeah, yeah. Detroit. I think they're going to fade. They when the Cardinals played them earlier this year, I mean, there was no names that I recognize at all.
Yeah,
So they're filling their lineup with a lot of cast offs and a lot of rookies they're trying to bring up through the farm system.
yeah. And you
Yeah.
got the White Sox at fourth place.
White Sox at fourth place. Disappointing. White Sox are very disappointing this year. They may be on their way down.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it doesn't seem that. Lance Lynn was out for a long, long time with an injury. A couple other ball players. They may be having a bad year this year.
Well, Kansas City really has it bad. They're last in that league and they're 18 wins and 41 losses.
Yeah, but I watched the Cardinals play Kansas City in St. Louis. I think it was last weekend, and Kansas City they got some talent on that team. They've got a Bobby Witt Jr. He's a up and coming star. They got a catcher, big dude. He's been around. Salvador Perez.
Uh-huh.
He's a catcher, DH.
For
He's been
more awesome
around long,
content,
but
like and
he's a
subscribe
big home run
now.
hitter and just a big guy, and he hits for average.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got some other ball players. So Kansas City may be down this year, but I think maybe the next year or two, if they don't get rid of everybody, I think they'll be okay.
Wow. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Ah, I hit the wrong screen. What in the heck did I do? Hold on, let me go back. There we go.
Okay.
Now we're looking at the American League West, and obviously
Yeah,
Texas is in
Texas.
first, but they're
Look at
37 to 20 there.
Yeah, St. Louis goes. The Cardinals go to Texas in Texas tomorrow night, and that should be an interesting series.
Yeah.
They,
Now,
over the last 2 years, Texas went out and they got a really good experienced manager that knows pitching. They brought in the pitching coach from the Cardinals.
mm-hmm,
Okay, he was with the Cardinals for a long, long time as a pitching coach, and he this last year he left the Cardinals and they signed him in Texas, and he seems to be doing a great job with the pitching staff, as he did with the Cardinals. Okay, his brother is a Hall of Famer,
mm-hmm.
and he used to play for the Braves, and he used to pitch for the Cubs, I think, a long, long time ago. But good pitching coach. They got some good pitching. They paid a lot of money for some pitching, and they picked up a Cardinal that the Cardinals a couple years ago designated for assignment. So
Mm.
they basically got him for nothing.
Wow.
Okay, and he's like, wow, he's like a superstar now. Last 2 years, Latin ball player,
Yeah.
very good
Well,
ball player.
one thing's
So
for sure.
Texas,
Yeah. One
go
thing's for
ahead.
sure. Houston's gone up a few steps. I think the last time we were on, they were like at fourth, and now they're second.
Yeah, Houston's been hit with a few injury problems. I know Altuve was hurt for a while. Matter of fact, he was doing a recovery deal at Corpus Christi
Uh huh.
recently, last week or so. So he is playing himself back in shape. There's been some other ball players on that team that had injury problems. I think the Astros maybe start going down.
Yeah.
They had a good run for about 5 years, but I think they may be about ready to go down because baseball's kind of peaks and valleys, and Houston's getting a little. They picked up a few. They got a few young ball players, but I think overall, I think they're going to start sliding down. And there's going to be some teams in that division going to start coming up.
Yeah. Then you've got the Angels in third place in that division.
Bottom line, they got the two best. They got the two best ball players in the majors. They got Otani,
Mm-hmm.
and they got their center fielder.
Yeah.
And you can't ask for more of that team. Plus,
Yeah.
Otani, he can go both ways. He can pitch and hit.
Wow.
Okay, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and so Mike Trout's having another great year. So he's like Mr. Automatic. He gets when he's hurt. He doesn't get hurt that much, but he does hurt. They suffer. And in the last couple of years, he's been on the DL for a while, but he'll still get his 40 homers in. He'll still get his 80 to 100 RBIs. So
Yeah.
and hit about 300. So he'll be around.
Yeah.
They're finally getting some pitching this year too.
Yeah.
So they might be a wild card team.
Yeah. Well, we've got Seattle and Oakland down at the bottom of that division.
Yeah, Seattle, disappointing team. They haven't done anything this year. Everybody thought Seattle was going to be great, but they've kind of fell flat on their face, and um, they're going to have to start doing some work here to get back in the race. Oakland A's. What can you say about the Oakland A's that hasn't been said? That team, the other day I saw that some fan jumped out of the stands and he ran around the bases during the game, and security didn't pick him up.
Wow.
Usually, when they run around the bases during the game, when they're playing, they tackle the guy, right?
Right.
Okay. And this guy here, I think he might have around the bases naked too, or something. I don't
Oh
know.
my gosh.
They just let him. They just let him run around the bases, and then he got done. He jumped back in the stands, and they left him alone.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, he was. If they would have kicked him out of the game, well, the fans would have been, the stands would have been empty.
Right. Yeah.
Because they don't draw well. They don't draw well at all. Rumors is that they say they bought some land in Las Vegas, okay, to build a new stadium. Now the rumor is that the city of Las Vegas doesn't want to pay for a new stadium. They've got one new stadium for the football Raiders, that they're trying to pay for now. And so, everybody thinks that maybe baseball may not happen to Las Vegas because, if you're on vacation, you go to Vegas, you're not going to be watching baseball games. You're going to be there. You're going to go to the strip, you're going to go to gambling and the shows and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I think that.
Especially when the weather outside the 120 degrees
Right.
in the shade.
Right. I mean, I
So,
seriously doubt any sport would do well in Las Vegas.
well, football seems to be doing okay, and the basketball team seems to be doing okay. Football team, Raiders are Raiders, but the basketball team seems to be doing okay, but playing 80 games, in Las Vegas in the summertime, not the idea of having a good time.
It'd be
But
brutal.
they've had minor league teams there for years, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know where the A's will go.
Wow.
Something's got to be done with the A's because it's a sad story, because every time the A's signs a bunch of ball players young, they have a good scouting team. They go out and get some good ball players. They know what they're doing talent wise, but business wise, they just can't draw the fans there
Yeah.
because of the demographics there, and they got, they're playing in the mausoleum. They won't build a new stadium. Da 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 da. And then they have to start selling ball players off.
Yeah.
They get ready for free agency, and then they're all gone next year.
Yeah.
Here comes another crop in.
Well, turning our attention
So
to the National League in the East, you've got Atlanta leading 34 wins and 24 losses. No surprise
how
there.
about that? No surprise there. Just first class organization. A lot of good young ball players mixed in with some veterans. I can't say enough for Atlanta. Good team.
Yeah. Then you've got Miami right behind at 32 wins and
Yeah,
28 losses.
that's surprising, because the Cardinals, an old Cardinal, Skip Schumacher, that was last year's bench coach for the Cardinals, and he's a manager now. Skip he's a good baseball guy. Seems to be doing okay.
Yeah.
So he with a small payroll and everything. So Skip's doing a good job.
You've got the Mets behind them at 30 wins and 30 losses.
Yeah, it's a big disappointment. You listen to these people, like Bill O'Reilly and those guys. They think the Mets ought to win every game, but you know, they're disappointed. They think there should be, like 50-0 or something like that. But they're starting to make some Pete Alonso, their big gun, King Kong, they call him. He's starting to make some moves now.
Yeah,
Good manager, good experienced manager. Buck Showalter. Buck Showalter. He's been around for 100 years.
yeah,
He's been fired by just about every team. So um, they'll be in it. Just
yeah.
can take them a while to get going.
Then you've got Philly and the
Philly,
Nationals at the bottom of that league.
yeah, big disappointment. Phillies have been. You
Yeah,
know, they started out the season without without their superstar. What's his name? Bryce, I think it is. Bryce Harper, and they picked up this Dodgers shortstop. They gave him an 11-year contract, umpteenth $1 million a year, and he always had a good track record of being a superstar. This year he's really slowed down, so I think eventually he'll get better.
yeah,
Okay, so you know, but the Phillies have not they've not lived up to potential.
yeah. Then you've got the National League Central. You've got Milwaukee on the top spot with 32 wins and 27 losses.
Yeah, Milwaukee, they do pretty good with their payroll. Yelich is no longer a home run hitter. He's like a singles hitter, and they could use a little power, but they're getting some power off their first baseman that they picked up a couple of years ago, and they got some other good young ball players. They got Corbin Burns, one of the best pitchers in baseball, and a couple other guys. So I look for Milwaukee to be near the top all year.
Yeah. Then you've got Pittsburgh in second place with 31 wins and 27 losses.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, surprise team of the year, unquestionably. Um, they're kind of like the National League athletics. Is that once they get some ball players on there, they trade them away because they can't afford free agency. But the last year or two, they got smart and they signed them when they were young to long-term contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched them over the weekend, beat up on my Cardinals. Um, they dominated all three games. They got behind. The Pittsburgh got behind on one game, and they came back and won. They scored 6 runs in one inning against Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they got some good. They got some versatility. They got a shortstop that can go out and play center field. He can play second base and all that. I think he's from Taiwan
Wow.
and our Korea, and he's pretty good. And they got a good young third baseman. So, and they're getting some pitching mixed in with some veterans. Not Lawrence McCutcheon, but There's a player named McCutcheon that is an old time Pirate, one of the most valuable player for the Pirates about 5 years ago. He went free agent, went to somebody else, bounced around a couple teams. Now he's back now, and he's doing great. He's like 38 years old. And he's playing like a 20-year-old, and their pitching is pretty good. And they picked up an old pitcher named Mike. His last name's Rich Hill, and I think he's between the Cubs and the Dodgers and another team. I think he's been around longer than dirt, you know.
Wow.
But he pitched good today and beat the Cardinals. So they Pittsburgh's something to look at,
Yeah. Well, then you've got
and they can run too.
and then you've got Cincinnati and the Cubs, and of course St. Louis down at the bottom there,
Yeah,
Doug.
yeah. Cincinnati, they're not going to do anything. Cincinnati, they're the only player that anybody knows about is Joey Votto,
Yeah.
and he's like 38 years old now. I don't know how he's doing this year. I don't think he's doing much. And they have a young ball player named India that's been out for a couple of years. He missed most of last year with injuries. He's gonna be a good one, but that's about all Cincinnati's got. So
Yeah,
I don't think good organ. I mean, one time good. It's a good baseball town.
yeah,
Went through some ownership changes the last decade or so. Not so great ownership. Made
yeah,
some bad decisions, and you know, I don't think Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati will start falling down there pretty soon.
yeah. Hey, Doug, give
Cubs,
me, Doug,
yeah,
let me pause for a second. I left my laptop outside and it's about to pour. So if you give me a second, I'll run right back
yeah,
up.
good.
Is that okay? All right, give me a
Okay,
second.
am I still recording? Okay. Is it raining? Hmm. Not raining up here. No, I think the Chicago. I look for them to pass up Cincinnati here pretty soon, but they still got a couple more years to go. Chicago does, yeah. But they'll pack them in Wrigley Field. Cardinals are going to have to make a move here. Yeah, Cardinals are going to have to make a move here pretty soon. It's getting, we're getting close to the All Star game, about a month away, so we're going to have to make some moves. Good young ball club. Arizona's got a good young ball club. Got some good pitching on it. I think Arizona's going to be in the thick of it with the Dodgers all year. They're they're starting. Yeah, they're the Dodgers. They're going to be in it by the end of the year. Good organization, good ball club. They had some rebuilding stuff because their shortstop left and another ball player. I think they lost a pitcher or two, but I think the Dodgers at the end of the day will be up there. They'll be either one division or in second place. Yeah, they seem to be playing pretty good this year. They 2 years ago they won more games than anybody in baseball, something like 107, and got knocked off in the playoffs. Last year they lost 100 games or close to it. Didn't make the playoffs, obviously. So I think they kind of retooled a little bit, and I think they'll be fine. They'll be in the wild card. San Diego's got so much talent on that team; it's unbelievable. Um, they're just not playing. They're not just not playing good baseball. I think maybe after the All Star break, they'll probably catch on fire. You know, yeah, Rockies perennial losers. I mean, they went to the World Series like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, but they really haven't done anything since then. The ballpark they play in, being in Denver, hurts them a little bit. I think. Um, pretty good fan base, but um, just just they just can't keep good ball players. Well, naturally, I'd like to see the Texas and the Cardinal game this week. Unfortunately, it'll be blacked out in Texas. Even though we're like 11 hours away from Dallas, where the Rangers play, or Frisco. I guess they play in Frisco. Well, we can't. I can't watch a team. I can't watch a game. So, you know, and but now what I do is that's usually the time I go on my evening bike ride. So, I got me some new AirPods, and I just listen on the radio to the game, and it takes me about 2 hours, 2 hours for the game, and I get through the bike ride in about 2 hours. So it works out pretty good. And no, I got pros, second generation. I got the latest. Yeah, the other ones I had forever, and and they finally just shot craps, and we got lucky. We got blessed with some income. Diva was doing little league pictures up in Raymondville, and that was a pretty good gig, and and I was I was the guy. I was the old man with the cigar box at the front door, collecting the money. Okay, thank God for Cash App. A lot of Cash App, yeah. But in fact, we did like 300 kids. Yeah, it was a good time. It was little kids. We had some little. We were little kids, and then we had some bigger kids. The bigger kids, I mean, they come in and get out of there, no trouble at all. The little kids kind of rough to do because mom's with them, and they gotta have their good pictures and all that kind of stuff. And the little kids, 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, playing t-ball, they like to play around the place. And it was where we at was at one of those earthquake, not earthquake, but one of those hurricane shelters there in Raymondville. Yeah, yeah, and nice place. And they like playing around on the floor out there, gym floor. But we got to get them settled down and get them in there. But no, we were up there like for 5 nights, and we worked I don't know, from like 5 o'clock till 10 o'clock every night. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I took care of the money, the Cash App, and gave everybody a number and put their number on a chalkboard. So when they go up there, she gives them a mug shot. First, it's a mug shot, so she knows what their number is. So when she goes back and do the post work on it, she knows what to edit and stuff. And we did okay. I mean, I got the AirPods, and we got she's she paid for some body work done on the Equinox, about $500 of the body work that needed to be redone. And the other day she spent well over $1,000 on some repairs, to the CBS joints and stuff. So paid cash for all that stuff. So we repaired it, and we got a ton of money left over. As a matter of fact, I told her we got so many dollar bills and stuff, $20 bills. Got a couple Benjamins out of the deal, some grants and stuff. I just said we need to get one of those cash machines that they used in like New Jack City, where they come in and they got all this money and you put the money in so they can pile it up and put rubber bands around it. So it's like a drug place. Yeah, but it was like if you remember New Jack City, one of those cash machines. So it was a good time. Everybody was happy. So she's out taking photographs again tonight, this afternoon. So more money for the white man. I'm happy about it. Got to have some money coming in. Yeah, it'll be at noon. It's at noon. Yep. WWDC. Yeah, it's the event usually starts about noon Central Time, and you can watch it on YouTube or you can watch it on Apple TV. Twit Leo does a commentary. He does like a mystery thousand three, mystery theater 3000 type deal on the events usually. And so the big news on the Apple event, of course, was the headset, the AR VR headset. I guess the name is going to be the reality. That's what they're thinking it is. 15-inch Mac Air. Um, Maybe some other stuff. We don't know. But I think definitely the headset will be a big deal. I think they'll probably announce it. Probably won't get a date when they're going to ship it, but at least the software developers will be working on it. But I do have one baseball story I need to tell you before we sign on here, Danny. Some quick one. Um, I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but I mentioned a guy named Mike Shannon, a longtime Cardinal baseball announcer, uh, pretty good baseball player for the Cardinals. He played for the Cardinals in back in the '60s from like 1961 to 1970, and then he picked up a kidney disease type deal, and he had to retire. And he had 5 kids to support, and the Cardinals were nice about getting him a job in the broadcast booth with along with veteran Jack Buck. And when Shannon, so Mike made the transition from the field to the booth, and he was terrible, terrible announcer, just terrible. But over the years, he got better, and people kind of grew on him. And I think a couple months ago or last meeting or so, there was an old story, a Mike Shannon story about the glass blower in St. Louis. I mentioned. Okay, well, he finally died. He died. He was 80. He died at 83 years old. Um, he was beloved in St. Louis. He had a chain of restaurants and in St. Louis that he put family members in charge. And there's a million Mike Shannon stories, but um, probably the most memorable is that when he was forced to retire, he had 5 kids to support, and they're all stair step, real young, and he didn't have any future. Augie Bush had the Cardinal on the Cardinals at the time, Anheuser Busch, and Anheuser and Augie says, "Hey, I've got a job for you, Mike." So they put him in the booth, and big supporter of Anheuser Busch beer. Always mentioning Anheuser Busch. He'd go in a bar somewhere or something. He'd buy everybody. You can have any beer you want as long as it's Budweiser. And there's a story is that I heard the other day that his grandson was operating one of his restaurants in restaurant bar in Edwardsville, Illinois, which is right across from St. Louis. And the story is that Grandpa, I've got an idea, and I want you to see if you like this. He says, okay. He says, hey, listen, we could make more money on what do you call this beer? Homemade beer or craft beer. We can make more money on craft beer. The margins are higher, and people like them, and the margins are higher. And I said, "What do you think about that?" And Shannon said to his grandson, "Well, Sonny, well, he always called everybody Big Boy. Well, Big Boy, sounds like a pretty good idea as a businessman. You're going to be making more money and stuff, but if you decide to do it, um, you need to take my name off that sign on the front of the restaurant because you're only selling that Anheuser beer in here, okay? Anheuser Busch beer in here, So they obviously they didn't sell the craft beer because everybody came to the restaurant because Mike Shannon was Mike Shannon's, right? So but Grandpa wanted his name taken off because they were going to start sell some other beer that he didn't want anything to do with it. Yeah, that's just one story. There's stories about when he played. Um, One of the best stories that I heard the other day. He was an announcer for the Cardinals just a few years ago, and there's a Bob Euchre. You know Bob Euchre, Mr. Belvedere, right? Well, the tuba story that's world famous. The tuba story where he threw a ball and out in the outfield during the World Series marching band and hit the ball, and the ball went inside the tuba and broke the tuba. Okay, okay. Well, anyway, Bob Euchre is still announcing games for the Milwaukee Brewers. Okay. Yeah. So a couple years ago, okay, Shannon was always he liked to collect autographs. Shannon did. He was always collecting autographs. And anyway, and they were on the air, and somebody was talking to him about the tuba story, and Euchre was in the booth right next door doing the Brewers games. And Shannon says, "Hey, I got an idea. How'd you like to have an autograph with Bob Euchre on a tuba?" So found a he found a on the air. He found a pawn shop right down the street from the stadium in St. Louis, and they said, "Hey, this is Mike Shannon. You got any tubas for sale down there?" And they said, "Yeah, we got one." So, well, let me send my grandson down there, and he'll pick it up and bring it back. Okay. So his grandson went down during the game. All this is going on during the game. Okay, and goes down, buys a tuba from the pawn shop, brings it back to the stadium. He's downstairs, and he's, "Hey, Grandpa," he gets a call. He says, the security won't let me come up because I got this tuba in here. And he says, I need some help. So Mike Shannon says, well, just wait a minute. So he gets up, goes down on the elevator, and tells security, hey, that tuba belongs to me. Okay. So security let him bring the tuba in. And then he takes it up there. And then he goes to the booth next door and he says, hey, big boy. Me and Bob Euchre to Bob Euchre, they've known each other for 60 years. Put your John Henry on my tuba. So I says, yeah. So Bob Euchre's on the tuba. So he took that home and put it in his office at home. Yeah. 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 He was always doing crazy stuff like that, Shannon. But, he just retired about 2 years ago. Yeah. But those Shannon stories, man, there's a million of them. Yeah, Apple. Yeah, maybe he'll put on his nerd hat. That's what they call it, a nerd hat. His headset. Yeah. They'll say, oh, what am I? Look, I got 5 fingers in front of me or something. But it will be game changing. It will be very, very special. Something something magical. Hey Nora, how's it going? Hi Nora. Yeah, me too. Bye. Okay, Danny. Time for a bike ride. Hope it doesn't rain. Okay, bye.